Welcome to Coffee with Frankie. It's June the 7th, Sunday, 10 a.m. on the East Coast of America. This is the coffee. I am the Frankie, and before we get going on the show, let's listen to the Frankie from Flatbush theme song.
Frankie from Flatbush rides the Brooklyn line. Got a swagger sharp like a vintage wine. Everybody knows his name from porch to stoop. Hustling dreams in every loop. In the park he struts, hits the handball wall. Echoes hear the stories when the shadows fall. Got 1,000 tales and a confident grin. On the streets of Flatbush where legends begin. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Bodega lights flicker when Frankie's near. He's got the rhythm, everybody cheers. Corner talks and sidewalk chalks his fame. In the Flatbush breeze you'll hear his name. Underneath the subway hum, the magic's real. Frankie's moves got that electric feel. From Atlantic Avenue to the urban hill, Flatbush Frankie's giving you a thrill. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Bodega lights flicker when Frankie's near, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Always on the go. Always on the go. Always on the go.
I said stop. All right. We here. It's Sunday. We are here, and there's not a lot of news to really talk about. Let me know if you can hear me okay in the chat. Here's Phil Adams. He's a member of the Inner Circle. You could be a member of the Inner Circle by clicking the join button down below. Joe Mike, testing. Let me know if you can hear me okay in the chat. If you are in the chat, let's open this doc. Make yourself known. Say hello. Don't be antisocial. Deuteronomy here. Quarterback is most influential. James Thompson is here. But we're entering a period of time. The Jets will be back practicing next week, so we may get some news next week. But there's not a whole lot going on. Stocky's here. He's a member of the Inner Circle. Joe Mike is here. Talking about Jason Sanders. Yeah, all he's got to do is be healthy, and he could be our kicker for years to come. Why not? If he is the way he was with Miami, he was very good. So, yeah, that was a nice one. Strikers here, the Geno video. So for those who don't know, one of the benefits of joining the Inner Circle, $2 a month, is what gets you in the door. And those members, they get extra videos. They get extra breakdowns. They get the good stuff. And what the striker's talking about over here is we have done video breakdowns of Geno Smith every year that he was a starter, 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025. And we graded every single throw he made and every single thing he did on the field. And we came up with our own scouting grades. For those who don't know, I am a graduate of the Scouting Academy, so I know how to scout. Not a professional scout, though. But I have a scouting system for the quarterbacks, and it works out really well to tell us beyond the statistics, how did they actually play? You got to watch the film, and you got to have a system for grading them. And so we can tell you exactly how Geno Smith played even last year when he wasn't as good as the previous years. What really happened? Was it his fault? Was it not his fault? What was going on? Well, if you're an Inner Circle member, $2 a month, you could join Stryker and Joe Mike and Phil Adams and all these people. And you could access these videos and thousands of other resources that are yours only if you would join the Inner Circle. $2 a month gets you in. And now these people understand what really happened in those years, much more than the statistics would tell you. Now, we do have some columns being written. For example, Dick Chimney has a column out this morning. Oh. Can adding 44 years of vet leadership help Jets turn it around? He wants to know. So I would say this column is very poor, but it does have some interesting things to it. Temperature rising. You got a second-year coach, 3-14 record. Got some veterans in here, plus the owner. You got to throw him in there as shadowing around. There should be a serious, edgy vibe in the locker room, says Dick Chimney, like he knows what a locker room is. Well, he knows it's where he goes to interview players, but. And it has, according to players. Real sense of urgency, Josh Meyer said. Blah, blah, blah. We brought in all these people. Now, here's the interesting part. No one expects them to make the playoffs. Oh, really? No one? Well, I'm just going to tell you right now the Jets are making the playoffs. And just remember when I told you that. Dick Chimney said no one expects them to make the playoffs. Just remember when they make the playoffs, old Frankie told you that they would. Based on my film study, mostly of Geno, plus knowing the roster. It says ESPN has an analytics-based ranking. There's no way that any analytics-based ranking could know what the Jets are going to do because we overturned so much of the team. The talent level is so much higher. Plus, how are they going to know what Geno's going to do? If you're looking at what he did last year only as a statistical exercise, that's very bad. But as the Inner Circle members know, there's a lot more to that story. So just remember, these are the beat writers trying to basically blackpill you. They're trying to doom scroll you. They're trying to doomsmax you. They're trying to make you very, very depressed about the Jets. No one expects them to make the playoffs. They're terrible based on an analytics-based ranking. You heard the coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers after they lost to the Nickies. They said, "Oh yeah, we lost the game, but we won analytically." Oh, does that count for anything in the standings? No, but we won analytically. So fuck analytics. We take a look at them here at Frankie from Flatbush and FSPN, but we know how to use them because we're not idiots. But anyway, trying to set an early tone, Glenn has turned up the heat, whatever the fuck that means. AG learned a lot from his first year. Now, this is true. I think he wants to not just show the world, but show us that he's the guy. He's a guy that wants to win, knows how to win. First year, always going to be tough for any head coach. There's a lot of adjustments. I think he's excited to apply what he's learned in year 2. Well, that's pretty honest. Here's old Geno. Aftershock. Myles Garrett blockbuster trade created league-wide ripples that will reach all the way to the Jets. Short term, they don't have to face him on October 11th. Long term, well, the Browns got all these picks and stuff, including something that could threaten the quarterback of the future that all the media is trying to tell you they're going to get in the 2027 draft. You know why they're doing that? This is going to be another video I'm going to make. But the reason they're telling you that everything's going to happen in 2027 is so that way when the Jets start winning, they can say they're actually losing. This is a very interesting concept. This could be significant, blah, 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 quarterback market. Based on ESPN analytics. He leans on these ESPN analytics a lot. Best chances of landing number 1 overall pick are in order: the Dolphinians, the Cardinalians, the Jetsinians, and the Browninians. So, this tells you what the analytics think we're going to do. Just remember, the Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Knicks analytically. The Knicks won on the court, but analytically, it was the Cleveland Cavaliers. So, just remember that about analytics. Checkmate. Fitzpatrick wants to be more than a free safety. As he said, I like being a chess piece, the ability to move around the defense. Well, that's all safeties move around the defense. He likes the idea of presenting different looks to the quarterback. Well, all safeties do that. That's how the Dolphins used him last season. He played almost as many snaps from the slot as free safety. Where does he get this information from? Is it accurate? Well, we don't know. He doesn't tell us. But here's the thing. During his most productive season, 17 interceptions from these years to these years, Fitzpatrick was deployed predominantly as a free safety. Yeah, no kidding. The Jets, who went the entire season without an interception, need him to be a ball hawk. They gave him money. Those have been in short supply recently. And none on third down. He didn't even intercept any passes on third down. Oh, my goodness. See how they selectively pick stats and then throw them in your face to make you worry? Talking about practice, the Jets will have only 2 joint practices, both with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Florham Park. They open the preseason against the Bucs at MetLife Stadium August 14th. Training camp begins July 28th. Man, it's going to be a long time. From the end of next week until July 28th is going to be a long time. The Jets are one of 5 teams with no primetime games. That's a good thing, but they're going to turn it into a bad thing, of course. You got to earn the right. Hello, goodbye. It seems like the new kickers show up at one Jets drive as often as the FedEx truck. I guess everybody has taken this to heart, that it's dizzying. They can't take it. The latest arrival is former longtime Dolphins kicker Jason Sanders, who replaces Youngway Cuckoo Kachoo, who replaced Lenny Blitzkrieg, who lost a mini competition against Cade York and Will Ferrin, who lasted only 2 weeks. Got that? Yeah, it's not hard to understand, Dick. For now, it's Sanders versus York. Sanders, no strangers to MetLife Stadium, 80% on field goals, and in cold weather, 94%. So that's good. Question with Sanders is his health, as he missed a 25 season with a hip. Yeah, if he's healthy, I think he's our man. So it won't be as dizzying for the beat writers anymore. Superlative. It's always interesting to hear veterans talk about young players. Most give obligatory praise, the routine stuff. Occasionally, something is said that prompts a double take. Such was the case with Myers, who was asked about Membu. Membu has the ability to be like great, one of the greats. Myers said, yeah, he's going to be one of the greats, sure. There's a lot that has to happen, but he's got the talent, he's got the mentality. Also this week, John Simpson, old former teammate, had something very nice to say about Membu on social media, so that was nice to see. Early observation, Glenn is calling the defensive plays in OTAs, but he still makes it a point to spend time with the offense. Once the competitive period starts, he moves to the defense, blah, blah, blah. Texting stars. Boy, they're really scratching for news here. Phillips reaches out to the draft picks via text. It's his thing. He's done it for 9 years on 3 different teams. Typically, the replies are short. Stuff like, nice to meet you, bro. This year, They were really nice written messages, he said. I was like, hey, this is a little different. This hasn't happened every place I've been. So we got the best rookies, in other words. We got the best rookies. They write the best text messages. I mean, after all, writing text messages is how you know a guy can play football. The last word, I take the mentality of being the best me. If we have 11 best me's on the field, we'll have a damn good offense, says Adonai Mitchell. All right, the best me. Yeah. So was that a good column? Did you enjoy that? Dick Chimney makes like millions of dollars a year to work for ESPN and write these columns. Did you enjoy it? Was it good? I mean, he does a podcast. He goes to the field and writes up tweets, and then he writes a column. He makes millions of dollars for that. Did you enjoy it? All right, you may be saying, hey, I didn't enjoy it, but what alternative is there? Well, how about chemtrails? What? What is chemtrails? What is this? Well, this is the Frankie from Flatbush Substack. Frankie from Flatbush.substack.com. And we got a column. Everybody can have a column. I can have a fucking column. Here we call it the Sunday Jets Letter. General Gino and General Optimism. This is today. And if you subscribe, it goes right into your inbox. Here's old Frank Reich. Great Scott. And I write about G. Scott. You may not have understood that we signed a kid called G. Scott out of Ohio State. And this kid has a very interesting story. I write a little bit about it here. And I didn't discover it until after I wrote this column. This is the Frankie column. But if you want to learn more about G. Scott, you could go to this video here. And there's actually a bunch of videos. This was a 4-star wide receiver. Look at this fella. Handsome dude. G. Scott Jr. talks up and down Ohio State career, national championship run, faith, and more. If you want to learn about this young man, go right here. Very interesting story. And he basically showed up. He was a 4-star wide receiver. They turned him into a tight end for some reason. And so now he's going back to wide receiver. So can he make something out of himself? We'll see. I put in here that maybe he could be sort of like a tight end, wide receiver, fullback, running back, special teamer. And if he could do all those jobs, and he's a smart kid, you could see in this interview. But if he could do all those jobs, then he has a shot to eventually get onto the roster, because that's a great roster use of a roster spot when a guy can do all those things. Comeback King is coming back, talking about Frank Reich and Garrett Wilson, talking about player empowerment. And then I bring up the fact that, a lot of people want to criticize Frank Reich for his 1 year with Bryce Young down in Carolina when he got fired. Well, you have the worst owner in football, David Tepper. And, Bryce Young as a rookie, Bryce Young may turn out to be good, but as a rookie, he was terrible. He was worse than Zach Wilson. So he had a historically horrible quarterback on a rebuilding team. And, you expect to see some magic out of that offense. He was trying to cater the offense to a tiny little rookie named Bryce Young who stunk. Come on. General Gino. So a little more about Geno Smith and some of the comments that he's been getting. And then the Sandy Man. Here's a little bit about Jason Sanders. And you can see here the stats. I provide them. Other people who write their columns, they don't provide any proof of their claims. They just say shit. And they don't provide you any proof. If I say, hey, this guy could be good, you might say, well, why do you say that, Frankie? And look at the stats. This is sorted by field goal percentage. This man has already had 3 years above 90% field goals. That's very good. And he kicks them from long range. One of those years, he was 12 out of 14 from 50 plus. Another year is 8 out of 9 from 50 plus. So it's not like he's just making the short ones. Then he had 2 other years above 80 and then 2 others in the mid 70s. So, I mean, that looks like our best bet right now. Let's be honest. If he's healthy. Now, he's got to be healthy, of course. Double D, people are starting to notice Demario Davis, and they're like, holy cow, this guy's really good. It's like, yeah, I know. Trying to tell you that ever since we signed him. Additional camp themes, and then a few other news and notes. So this is the Frankie column. This is probably not my best work, but it is a slow time of year. But, which one's better? The guy making millions of dollars, Dick Chimney? By the way, this guy teaches classes on journalism at Syracuse University. He's an adjunct professor. He's going to teach your child how to become a journalist, this shitbag. Just like, man. So anyway, there's a comparison of some columns. Let's check in with the chat now. Joe Mike. Gino on the cover of Madden 28. I don't know about that. They like the young players, but might be comeback player of the year. Seems Dirty Dick hasn't visited Green Bean and Frankie Islands. Yeah, no, he's not going to. He's going to go on analytics. ESPN Analytics said so. Analytics. Yeah, and that was true. This is a good quote by old Hefe over here. Josh Hart was like, yeah, you can lean on them, but they can't take you home. In other words, they're good for some things. Lamppost is good for lighting a small area, but it's not going to light up the whole neighborhood, right? So, yeah, you could use analytics carefully, and statistics are important for certain things. But if you're using them to base your whole life around it, or in the case of a coach, like, did we win the game? We won analytically. That was one of the dumbest quotes I've ever seen in my whole life. I mean, that is the opposite of how analytics should be used. To say we lost the game, but we won it analytically has to be, even the analytics people were probably like, what the fuck are you saying, you idiot? Because that throws the whole analytics movement under the bus. Because that's exactly how not to use them. Should you use them to for certain decision-making things? Yeah. In the business side of the business, yeah. Meaning how we make money. Yeah, sure. But that was bad for everyone, including the analytics people. One of the dumbest things anyone's ever said, and maybe that guy's just a dummy. I don't know. I don't know much about him. But I have to sit down after that kicker review. So dizzying, Hefe says. Yeah. Oh, my God, it's so dizzying. Brian Costello actually said, it's so dizzying, I can't keep up with this. It's like, why do you have a job that you clearly hate? Does anyone think Brian Costello loves his job? Let's be honest. Does Brian Costello love his job? He hates it. He can't stand it. Wakes up every morning and goes, oh, God, I got to cover this team. Ugh. Seems like you're a little unhappy. Maybe retire. Find something else to do. Life is short. Why be miserable? Phil says, chemtrails, good read every time. Yeah, sign up for chemtrails, totally free. And comes right in your inbox. Phil Adams lives in England and goes right across the border. No problem. Right into his inbox. Gets it, reads it, or not. But you get it. It's nice and convenient. And not to mention, Substack is a platform for independent media. If you hate big media like Dick Chimney, you should be supporting at least some people on Substack. That's the place to go for independent media. Whatever topic you're into, they got it. Whatever it may be, whatever tickles your fancy, you can find it on Substack and subscribe and support independent media people. Flatbush Dre is here. Sachetti's here, but late. Yave says, still need a HC with a good gut that they trust. Sean Payton should have kicked that field goal, which his gut would have told him, but analytics said go for it. Well, if that's what happened, then Sean Payton's an idiot. I mean, you can't, all of the logic said kick the field goal. You had your backup quarterback in. The snowstorm was coming. Everyone knew this. It wasn't a surprise. You have Bo Nix wasn't in there. It was Jared Stidham. What are you doing? In an easy to make field goal, just kick it. It doesn't even have to be your gut. It's just logic. So to me, that really made me question Sean Payton. And now Sean Payton's giving up play calling. So how's that going to go? So you got Bo Nix coming off an injury. I think he had 2 or maybe even 3 surgeries. Who knows? 7 surgeries on his foot. So is he going to be the same? Nobody knows. But now Sean Payton's giving up play calling. I thought that was his whole thing. One of the great play callers in NFL history, they say. Okay, why is he giving it up? Andy Reid not giving it up. I don't see Kyle Shanahan giving it up. I don't see Sean McVay giving it up. So why he giving it up? I don't know. Tell me. He wants to let his Davis Webb, he wants to let him get some experience so that way he can get hired away from him. How's that good? Phil Adams, the whole Jets beat, worked for one great golden rule. Write the headlines to get fans upset. Yeah. Because they can't write. I mean, they can't, because we haven't won, they can't write glowing headlines. I mean, Substack should sponsor the show. Well, yeah, I would love to have Substack as a sponsor, but the problem is there's not enough. There's 27 people in this, 28 now in this chat room, Dodes. You think Substack's going to waste their time with 28 people in a chat room? We got to build up the channel more. We can't get any sponsors. Think anybody's going to fuck with this channel? No way. Great article on Ryan Slowick. So Joe Mike is commenting. We also had an article on Ryan Slowick. So you want to know about Ryan Slowick? You want to know about Carl Dunbar? You want to know about Pascal Akeji? These people that maybe nobody's covering. We cover it at Chemtrails. We got more articles coming up, and that's the way it is. 28 VIPs, yeah, but it doesn't matter because it's all about numbers. Look, now it's down to 24. People are like, fuck you, I'm leaving. So it doesn't matter if you're VIPs. What matters is numbers. This is marketing, Toads. So, yeah, we got to get our numbers up before we can. But I would love to have Substack as a sponsor. And I would, because I truly believe in it. That's a type of company that I would actually not mind having as a sponsor. Now, I'm not going to take, DraftKings or anything like that. But if Athletic Greens or Substack came to me, yeah, because I believe in those products. I would do it. Are you a Knicks fan? Yeah, I'm a Knicks fan, but I'm a lapsed Knicks fan, and I'm kind of paying attention now. And if you followed me on X, Hefe, you would know exactly what I feel about the officiating. I was tweeting about it live, calling it live. It was bullshit. I mean, I don't know how. Follow me on X. How many times do I have to tell you people? I'm a good follow. It's funny and informative. Jeez. But anyway, yeah, the officiating sucked and the Knicks won anyway. I mean, it's amazing. The Knicks are on the road against Wemby, who's supposed to be the next big superstar. And the officials are calling fouls on guys. They called a foul. One of the Knicks touched one of the Spurs man bun. They touched his hair follicle. They called the foul on it. They're ridiculous. But anyway, that's how the whole game went. Calling foul against the Knicks. Nothing. Knicks are getting mauled in the paint. They don't call anything. But we touched a guy's hair follicle. They call that ridiculous. And anyway, so we're on the road for 2 games in a hostile environment. San Antonio does love the Spurs. That is a hotbed of basketball support. They love their Spurs down there in San Antonio. You got to give the fans that. Very passionate fan base. So, very tough place to play. History of winning. They have Wemby. We're on the road. The refs are against us. Brunson's playing like shit for most of the game, can't shoot straight, and Karl Anthony Towns is in foul trouble, and all of that going on, and we still win. Come on. That's grit. That's what you call grit. Was it the greatest win in the world? No, but I mean, considering the circumstances, especially because usually when you steal game 1 on the road, the home team comes back and storms back and wins game 2 easily, usually, in these playoffs. But not this time, even with Mr. Wemby, Plastic Man. So, it's been an interesting thing to watch. I used to be a big Knicks fan. Obviously, I fell off. Mostly NBA is kind of boring, so I haven't been paying attention. But of course, with the run they've been on, of course, I'm like, yeah, let's pay attention a little bit. So it's been fun to watch. And also, I have no expectations now. Like if the Knicks win, I'm like, wow, that's amazing. If they lose, I'm like, well, I'm not really that into it. So that's a good way to be a fan, I think. Hefe says, I'm not on X. Well, maybe you should be. I did notice some of the analytics for this channel are kind of depressing, I got to tell you people. Because there were basically no youngsters on this channel. Like, they have groups for demographics, like 20 to 25, 25 to 35 or something. It was like, there's basically nobody until like 40 plus. I was like, man, where are the youngsters? This isn't good. And because I can tell you probably if you were a young person, you'd probably have an X account. These young people, they live on social media, I think. So I don't know. Whatever I'm doing, it's only appealing to the old farts, and that's not good. Sorry to tell you. And then you have people like this. I bet you a lot of you people don't even have an X account or go to Substack. You're like, what? I don't know what Substack is. So, yeah, that has me concerned. I have to tell you. So, what else can we talk about today, though? Well, there is some news that might interest the Jets. Maybe, maybe not, but it has to do with the quarterback. What? A quarterback? Yeah, a quarterback you have not yet seen linked to the Jets, but old Frankie brings you the stuff you don't get anywhere else. And that's why you should subscribe to this channel and everything else I do. Go find me on X and everything else. Says here, Baker Mayfield has training camp deadline for contract extension with fucking ears. Well, how does this affect the Jets, Frankie? This has nothing to do with the Jets. Well, he's in the last year of his contract. What if they don't? Now, if you go into this, it says here that Mayfield says we're not anywhere close right here. Not even close, he says. And he also says as soon as training camp starts, that's it. So they got about a month to get it done, according to Mr. Baker. And they're not anywhere close. Would love to be here, but as of right now, that's not exactly the case. So what if Baker Mayfield hit the free agent market next year is the question. Would the Jets want to pay him highly? Obviously, he wants to get paid. He's on about a $33 million contract now, so he's probably going to want in the 50 range, I would think. They're probably offering him 40. That's why he's saying it's not anywhere close. And before you answer as to whether you'd want Baker Mayfield, you may want to check out some statistics. Now, this is where statistics help us because we can figure out what is this player doing. Last year had 3,693 yards, so this was a little bit of a down year. Year before that, 4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns, just a banner year. 71.4% completions. And then his first year in Tampa Bay, 64% completions, 4,000 yards, and 28 touchdowns. So the question is, would you want to bring this man in? Again, he's only 31 years old. 2026 is going to be 31, so he'd be coming to us at 32. So you could sign him for a nice 5-year deal, 4 or 5 years, something like that. Okay, but that's the statistics. What did PFF think? Well, you look at his career, he's got 3 years of elite play, 1, 2, 3 years of red chip play, and then he had this weird time in between here. 2021, he had a lot of injuries with Cleveland. That was the last year of Cleveland when they said goodbye to him. That was a whole drama. And then he had his, where he was traveling around, the Rams, the Panthers. He was competing with Sam Darnold at one point. That's kind of weird looking back at it now. Then he lands in Tampa on a $4 million deal, and he plays pretty well, 77.2 offense. That's a red chipper. Then his big year, 24, he gets a new contract after 23, 3-year, $100 million. So now he did 2 years of it, and he's going to be on his last year this year. So to me, I would pursue him. I would see if has any interest whatsoever in the old Jetsies, because now we got to, of course, see how this year goes. It all depends on what Gino does. If Gino does as well as I think, then I think we're just signing Gino and then drafting a guy and then doing that whole thing of the veteran and then sit the youngsters for a year or two, whatever it may be. But if Gino doesn't play well, which would surprise me, but if could happen, maybe he just is washed and stinks now. And if that's the case, and we got nothing but Cade Klubnik, and say Klubnik's not looking like starter material, then I'd probably pursue Baker, I gotta say. Especially because, man, you don't know how those drafts. Well, we'd also have to see who's coming into the draft and who's going back to school. But so that's an interesting thing to keep an eye on for developments. It'd be interesting to see him come into the market. Phil Adams said most old farts are too long in the tooth to take all the shit spouted. Well, that's the thing, is you can control. That's what I like about X. You're in control. You can create lists and then populate those lists with the voices you want. You're in control of it. You're not sitting there going, so if you see somebody saying a bunch of stuff that you hate, just mute them. Once you mute them, they're gone. Goodbye. You never hear from them again. And that's the beauty of it. I have lists for all kinds of stuff. I have a list for space exploration. I love space. I love all the space stuff we're doing now. NASA and SpaceX and Blue Origin and all these companies. It's fascinating to me. Do I know much about it? No. But I populate that list with all the experts and all the NASA accounts and everything else. And there's all these rockets going off all the time now that I know about that I didn't know before. They're sending all these rockets into space, mostly to drop off satellites so that we could have Starlink. And then Amazon's going to have one called Amazon Leo. Also, there's all these satellites in space and all this stuff. It's fascinating. But the idea is you curate your list. And if somebody's being a doofus, then you mute them. Get rid of them. See ya. And that happens, and you got to keep an eye on it. Sometimes you think somebody's a good source of info, but then they start spouting off. Like, for example, the Jet beat writers, I don't have all of them. I just have the important ones. There's really 4 people. Chimney, Hughes, Rosenblatt, and Costello. Occasionally Costello does break some news. He's the one who I might take off, put on at different times. But all the other ones, they don't ever break any news, and they talk about a ton of dumb shit that I don't care about. So they're not on the list, and I never hear from them. See ya. But that's the beauty of it. You have to curate it down. Otherwise, it becomes too overwhelming. Now, I will say Facebook is not useful at all, and Instagram is not good either. But Instagram, I use it just to follow the players because they post a lot of stuff on there, and you can find out what's going on. That's how I knew Gino was working out with Breece Hall and Braylon Allen down here in Florida. So that's kind of useful information to know. He's working out with the young fellas, Hefe says, at the end of the first half, you could read Cap saying, "You can't fuck with me." Grit. Rose built it right. Yeah, let's hope so. I mean, they certainly did. You look at the roster construction. It is kind of an interesting use case. They said we need a leader who can get his own shot pretty much anytime, anywhere. That's Brunson. He's our lead. He's one of our leaders. But we also need a big man that can play in the post and pull big men out because he's a 3-point threat. Okay, Cat. And also happens to be a great rebounder as well. So So those are the two basic pillars of the team, and then you fill in around them with some all-around guys, some three-point shooters, some defender types, and you get what you get, and it's really come together well. So it is a good case of roster building being the most important thing, which I told you guys last year for the Jets. It wasn't good enough, and I was right about that. No one ever gives me credit for that, but that's okay. But yeah, I think it is a good use case. You need certain things from certain people to do certain things. This is why I think Geno is the perfect quarterback, given how many weapons we have. We have so many weapons. Some people are saying we have too many weapons. And Geno is the type of quarterback, the guy's open, he's going to get it to him. The problem at Vegas, a lot of times the players weren't open. There was nobody to throw to, so he got sacked. He led the league in sacks taken, which is not good. But it wasn't because he didn't want to throw the ball like Justin Fields. It was because no one was open, and the O-line was just caving in it all the time. So it is a good use case. I agree. Get the right I love the way also Jalen Brunson talks. When they talk to him, they gave one interview where the person tried to start the question with, well, as a star in the league, how do you feel about blah, 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 blah? And Brunson said, well, first of all, I'm not a star, which is, I love that. And second of all, I just want to win, blah, 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 whatever he said. But first of all, he didn't take the bait of the preamble of the question, which I love, threw it in the reporter's face. He said, no, I reject that preamble. And second of all, he said, and it felt authentic. I'm not a star. I'm not a star. And you hear him talking after the games. It's always about what can we do to get better. I didn't have a good game. I have to play better. Even when they win, he hits a game-winning shot, and he's like, "Yeah, I got to get better." It's never like, "Yay, we're the best." It's like, no, we got to play better. Got to look at the film and get better. So, yeah, they have the right mindset for sure. Joe Mike says, Dick Cimini hinted that the Jets' defense in OTAs has been rushing the passer using multiple players and formations. Well, what do you expect them to do, Joe? Of course they do that. The difference is the players are better, Joe, as we've discussed 1,000 times. The players last year tried to do the same thing, but they stunk. We increased the quality of players. How many times do I have to say it? It's hard to play football when you stink. It's because you're not running a comedy clown show that makes fun of oddball callers. Well, I don't know why. Mark, to be honest with you, it's a confounding thing because you want the younger viewers because, quite honestly, they're more enthusiastic. They'll share your stuff. Like if young people are into your stuff, they're going to spread it on social media. They're social media savvy. They're going to spread it for you. Honestly, that's why people want those. It's not that people don't like older people. It's just that the young folks are going to be more enthusiastic. They're going to tell their buddies. They're going to spread it on socials, all that. So it's a little troubling. Something I'm looking into. Phil Adams, could Jets win championships with just an average quarterback and stacked roster? Yeah, why not? I mean, I think Baker Mayfield's better than average. Question is, do you really want to pay $50 million for Baker? That's the question. I'm sure they're offering 40. He wants 50 plus. So do you pay him 50? It's not like, do you want Baker? It's, do you want him at 50? And that's 50 over 5 years, probably 4 or 5 years. So kicking trajectory? No. This is what's going to happen to Shetty. He's either going to kick good or he's going to kick bad. If he kicks good, he keeps kicking. If he kicks bad, then we fire him and get somebody else. Bradigan's here. Now, something else that's come up that is kind of interesting. A trade was made this week. You may have noticed it. Myles Garrett got traded to the Rams, but also A.J. Brown was traded to the hated New England Patriots, but there's a problem. There's a problem. What problem? Well, doctor warns A.J. Brown's knee is a ticking time bomb. This was before he got traded. Jeff Mueller, who has experience in analyzing NFL injuries, weighed in on Brown's future. I will continue to say that A.J. Brown's knee is a ticking time bomb and had athleticism regression last year because there continues to be valid objectives that prove it to be true. The doctor wrote on X, time to get off of him in Dynasty. So he's talking about fantasy, which I don't love, but the point of this is maybe A.J. Brown is not going to be a superstar if he can even play, and he might even have to miss time. So maybe paying a first-round pick and a fifth-round pick and whatever else they traded, I think that's all they traded, for A.J. Brown, maybe that wasn't such a good idea for New England. He points to signs of athletic decline last season as further evidence, adding that there are still clear objective indicators supporting that view. From a long-term perspective, he suggests that dynasty managers may be wise to consider moving on before his value begins to decline. Well, if his value declines in fantasy, that means he's not putting up yards and touchdowns and being a stud like he used to be. Brown's knee concerns have developed over several years, rather than stemming from a single injury. The first major issue surfaced in 2020 when he missed time with a knee bone bruise while playing for the Tennessee Titans. Following that season, in January 2021, Brown underwent cleanup surgeries on both knees, indicating underlying wear and tear. The problem did not go fully away. 2023, he dealt with a late-season knee sprain that affected his availability during a critical stretch. Then, in 2024, Brown suffered another knee injury against the Jacksonville Jaguars, though tests confirmed no structural damage. However, the bigger concern came later that season. Brown revealed the knee had been bothering him since around week 15 and impacted his playoff performance. Reports also indicated ongoing swelling that required consistent management, reinforcing that this is a recurring, long-term issue rather than an isolated injury. 2 days ago, mobbed-up union lawyer Mike Florio said I guess the Rams were talking to the Eagles about A.J. Brown. They got scared off by some of the, as I'm told, preliminary medical research. They decided too much of an investment for a player at this age, general wear and tear, were not going to do it. Right now, only a couple of teams are interested in Brown. Patriots seen as the most serious suitor. This was written before the trade. Rams also explored a deal, though the knee made them cautious. So did the Patriots just trade for damaged goods and gave away a first-round pick and more for this man? They want him to connect with Drake May and be, a fantastic connection. It's the next Randy Moss, Tom Brady connection, they're saying, in New England. But now, his knee might end that kind of talk. So we'll have to see how that plays out, but that would be something interesting to monitor. Hefe is here. She says, our defensive front should be fierce. Yeah. Imagine if Sweat and or Briggs improve in the pass rushing even a little, which is realistic. Well, Sweat's pretty good at it. He's going to always play in the phone booth. So, if he gets some initial push up front and gets by the guy, all right. But he's not going to be great chasing a guy down, across the field, let's be honest. And Briggs is a little bit more athletic, but yeah, let's see how it goes. I mean, the idea is that you stop the run, get him on 3rd and long, and unleash the hounds of hell. That's basically our defensive idea. We're going to stop the run with all these people, including Demario Davis, who's great against the run, by the way, and then get the other team in 3rd and long and unleash the hounds of hell. named David Bailey and Will McDonald and whatever else we want to do. Blitz the linebackers, blitz the safeties, you name it. But the Hounds of Hell will be released. Kingsley and Agbare and Joseph Asai. Joseph Asai is a guy we're going to like watching play because he plays with his hair on fire. Doesn't always know what he's doing, but he's very active in doing it. So we're going to unleash these Hounds of Hell on 3rd and long, and hopefully the defensive backfield can hold up long enough to allow those Hounds of Hell to get home. And that's how we're going to do it. Very simple. And by getting people like an Agbare and Osai as backups, that raises your floor. You can't have Braden McGregor and, Eric Watts on the field. You can't. You could have those guys in the practice squad, fine. But you can't be playing significant minutes with Braden McGregor and Eric Watts and all these people. It's just not going to work. They're not good enough. But now we got an Agbare and Osai as backups. We got Bailey and McDonald as the starters in an Eagle front, if you think about it, 3-4 Eagle. There's going to be a lot of configurations, but that's just one. Eagle or bear. Some people call it an eagle. Some people call that a bear front. But yeah, it should be much better, and it should be a lot more fun to watch, and it should be much harder to run against us. I mean, Harrison Phillips, Jawan Briggs, Tavondre Sweat, even Darrell Jackson, David Onyemata is so good it'll make your fucking head spin. Then you got this Darrell Jackson fella. We'll see about him. He's a rookie, but he has all the size in the world. So if they leave him on the field in certain pass rush situations, they just want him to get his arms up. Get in a passing lane, put your arms up, Darrell, and, good luck trying to throw over that monster. He's got 11-inch hands. But anyway, so there's a lot of talent there that didn't used to be there, especially after we traded Sauce and Quinnen. So, yeah. It should be a much, much better defense. And hopefully, the only thing that's concerned me about reports so far is Zach Rosenblatt doesn't seem to be too impressed with Azariah Thomas, at least so far. Now, I don't really care about Zach Rosenblatt's opinion of Azariah Thomas, but when he's saying these other people look better than Azariah, that gives you some pause. Because what we would really want is Azariah Thomas to win the outside job. We want Pons to look good both inside and outside. And then we just have an embarrassment of riches. So to manage that, we play Pons on the inside, Azariah and Stevens on the outside. Then you put Fitzpatrick back as the free safety. And again, safeties move all around. That's just what they do, as opposed to what Dick Chimney was trying to tell you. And then we just have to worry about the strong safety, which could be Belton, could be Max Payne, could be, I don't know, Malachi Moore, maybe. But probably it's Dane Belton. And one thing Dane Belton can do well is tackle. So that's not a terrible thing. It's still not a strength of the team, but Rome wasn't built in a day. So, yeah, that's the idea with the defense. Very simple idea. And hopefully we don't have any people saying things like Steve Wilkes said last year, our defensive bus will be driven from the back. If you remember, I brought that quote up about 100 times, and, I was right. Again, when you have a defensive coordinator saying our defensive bus will be driven from the back, that is stupid, because every defense is driven from the front. Now, the defensive backfield is important. Everybody's important. But the defense is driven by the front. You cannot rely on defensive backs making tackles as your calling card. You got to have the defensive line, the front being dominant. That's step one to any defense. Defense 101. The front is dominant. All right. And they can stop the run at a high level. They can get a lot of tackles for loss, etc. And get them in 3rd and 4th and long. And then you either organically or by generating pressure through a blitz package, you get the quarterback off his spot, make him make mistakes, and that's how you get turnovers. That's why we didn't get any turnovers, because Steve Wilks said our defensive bus is going to be driven from the back. That's dumb. It's overthinking it. I don't know what the hell. It's weird to me that somebody like Steve Wilks can be a respected defensive mind, make his way all the way up to defensive coordinator of multiple teams, and he still says dumb shit like that now. Like, how does he keep getting jobs? But now he's at Appalachia State. He went over to Appalachia, who gives a fuck state, by the way, and as an analyst, he's not even on the staff, really. So that tells you what the NFL thinks of him, but still, he bounced around the NFL for a long time. DC, head coach for the Panthers for a short time there, bouncing around. I don't know how anybody, I mean, what does he say in these interviews? Does he tell the head coach our defensive bus is going to be driven from the back? And the head coach goes, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, yeah. I mean, what? No! Get this guy out of here. God's sakes. So, it's weird. But yeah, hopefully with the people we have, it should be much, much better. Phil Adams says, all knees are ticking time bombs. I've had 2 explode. It can happen to anybody, anytime in sports. Yeah, but I went through the whole history, Phil. This is special, and it's particular to the NFL. He's not saying like he's going to have some discomfort or, this and that. He's saying he's not going to be able to play wide receiver at a high level. That's the thing. And that's the thing, too. Like, maybe he plays, but if he's a step or a half a step worse than he normally is he A.J. Brown now? So it's not, can he walk around like a normal human being? It's, can he play superstar level wide receiver? That's the difference. He's supposed to be a superstar wide receiver. Not just a guy walking to the store, Phil. Yeah. And so one way or the other, if he misses time or if he's just not as good as he was, because if they spend all this draft capital on getting a dominant X, and he's not a dominant X, and you don't have to double him anymore, well, that doesn't really help their team much. Because the idea is, they got like 1,200 yards out of Stephon Diggs last year, and they said goodbye to him, probably because they knew they were going to get Brown. So is Brown going to give them 1,200 yards and a bunch of touchdowns and things? Because if he doesn't, if he gives them 800 yards or something, you got worse. You see? So that's the idea. They need A.J. Brown to be an alpha stud to improve on what they had with Stephon Diggs. Otherwise, the team has gotten worse in this trade, and you paid a high price to get worse. Not like they just signed him to a free agent deal. They gave up premium draft capital. Sure, it was 2028, but still. And you gave up premium draft capital, and if he has 700-800 yards, that's not terrible for a normal wide receiver, but you're talking about A.J. Brown here, who you want to go for 1,500 yards. Something like that, where he's an alpha X, everybody has to double team him, and it opens up things for your other players, and now the offense is clicking. That's the idea here. So, now, who knows? Brown himself did say, yeah, it's a problem, but it's going to be a problem in 4 or 5 years, he said. Which is an interesting take on it, because he is admitting it's a problem. So, yeah, it's just something to watch. All these the Patriots think they're going to the Super Bowl now. The other idea here is that the Patriots already went to the Super Bowl with Vrabel in May. They got their clock clean, but they did go there. So now they get A.J. Brown and Romeo Doubs, and they're supposed to, with almost the same team. They lost a few defensive pieces, replaced with other pieces. But the idea is basically the same team plus Vrabel, venereal Mike Vrabel, journalist banging notwithstanding. And they're supposed to go back to the Super Bowl and win it this time with Drake May. And Drake May is supposed to get better because A.J. Brown is supposed to be better than Stephon Diggs. And I guess Dobbs better than whatever they were trotting out there as their number 2 last year. So that's the idea. Now they had the easiest schedule in the world last year, made it all the way to the Super Bowl because Sean Payton forgot how to kick a field goal with the storm coming. But nonetheless, they made it. And now they're supposed to be even better. But what if they're not as good as they think they are because the schedule resulted in their overperformance and they got rid of Diggs and they replaced him with Brown? And what if Brown isn't as good as advertised or what he's supposed to be? Now where are you? So that's just something to keep in mind. Something to keep in mind. Something to keep in mind. Hey, Frankie, is Brown really a locker room headache that can make it about him and throw off Drake May, or is that just overblown? That's probably overblown. I think Brown was very frustrated with Hurts because Hurts isn't good. What? He makes $50 million a year and won the Super Bowl. Yeah, but he's not. He's very limited in what he does. He's not as good as people think he is, put it that way. And his performance has been getting worse and worse as he can't run anymore as much as he used to. So some of the value of Jalen Hurts was that he was a phenomenal runner. Well, he's not a phenomenal runner anymore. He's more like average. Well, if you take the phenomenal running around, which is why you don't want a running quarterback, really. If you take that away because he's getting older and so forth, he's not he's not an A grade pocket passer. He's probably like a C plus or something. And that affects A.J. Brown. Now, if A.J. Brown is A.J. Brown, Drake May is the perfect quarterback for him because Drake May is a great downfield thrower. He also is athletic and runs around too, but he's, as opposed to Hurts, he's the opposite of Hurts. He can make any throw on the field. He has great accuracy downfield in general. Oh, are you guys getting an error? Oh, let me know in the chat. I just got an error message. That's weird. Do. I'm getting error messages. Let me know in the chat if you can still see me and hear me. Otherwise, we'll have to cut out. Had some buffing. Okay. All right. I don't know what's going on. Buffering. Yeah, but now I'm getting an error message. So I guess we'll call it here. Buffering here and there. All right. Well, I don't know what's going on. Yeah, it keeps coming on and off. All right, we'll call it a day. Thanks for joining. And we'll see you next week. Join Chemtrails. Sign up for Chemtrails, Frankie from flatbush.substack.com. That's where you get the written Frankie. So much better than Dick Chimney. Follow me on X if you want to. And also join the Inner Circle where you get extra stuff. See you guys next week.